2020, as we all know, we had this thing called Corona, which is still not gone, but it was more intense during that time. So it was that 1 year where we all stayed at home, didn't know what to do with life. So I was also turning 18 that year. And it is that age where you're reaching adulthood and you really don't know what to do. You don't know what to make of it. So he took me to the bank one day to do some work because I was turning 18 and there were some formalities to complete. And then I realized at the bank, and a few days back, I'd finalized that I'm going to study BA Economics at this college. And I was very confident. I thought board exam, I've scored very good marks. I know economics and things like that. I went to the bank, and when the bank manager started asking me basic questions on banking, just for details, I realized, oh God, I don't know the difference between anything. I'm going to pursue economics, and here I am. I don't even know what they're telling me. So I thought, this can't only be me, right? So after 18 years of education, you realize that our education system hasn't taught us skills we need for survival, especially financial skills, which are so important for all of us. So I was like, oh God, what do I do now? So like every other person in today's world, I hopped onto Google, and I was so overwhelmed with the information I saw on Google. I was like, where do I go to understand everything in an easier manner? Because there were so many complicated finance terms. And I was like, this is all too much. This is too overwhelming. And to be quite honest, I was also a bit ashamed. I was like, I'm going to pursue economics, and here I am. I don't know the difference between bank accounts. So I thought, let's do something about this. So I spoke to other friends of mine about this, and they were all like, yeah, I mean, we are in the same basket, we don't know anything when we go to the bank and things like that. So I was like, okay, this is not right. This is a problem our younger generation is facing. So I took that 1 year and I studied. I tried to read books. I tried to read the newspaper. I went to Google, went to YouTube, tried to study as much as I could about finance and economics. Now, I'm no professional in any of these concepts, but for me, fund funds is where I'm also learning financial concepts. I'm breaking them down, making it more attractive and easier. And in the same course of time, there are other people with me also, maybe my same age, maybe younger than me, maybe older than me, learning finance with me. And that's the main purpose of fund funds, financial literacy in an attractive and fun way, but no one is a professional here. We are all just trying to break it down, make it easier, and learn together and learn on the way. So yeah, that is fund funds.
Going to the bank is what would have given birth to a platform like that. So in its own way, it's very quirky and very nice. So there must have been some issues and problems that you would have faced, So can you talk about those?
Yeah, sure. How
did you overcome?
When I started fund funds, I started with 3 friends of mine, and as everyone was going to college, and you can't blame anybody. So people had their own lives, and so suddenly it became a one-person show where I was doing everything. I was content creating, I was trying to connect with other people, I was trying to connect with other influencers, I was trying to learn economics and finance on the way, and it was all becoming too much. And then I realized that whenever you open an organization, number one, you cannot do it alone. You need people and you need help, and you've got to learn to accept it. I think before that you're all like, I can do this on my own, one person, what's there? But yeah, it was a humbling experience nonetheless. So then I started hiring volunteers. I started hiring close friends of mine, people I trusted with jobs. And then I realized that if you actually give people a chance, they'll actually do it for you. But you just got to keep some faith in others. So from there on, started creating content. So the first few months there was no increase in follower count, number one. So we were going between 5 to 10 followers, and that were also close friends of ours. So we were like, okay, this is not right. And then second is, even in terms of content creation, we had still not realized what we want to present. How do we want to present it? What are the apps we should choose? What are the concepts we should encroach on, and things like that. So again, ideation and content creation, all that took a lot of time. It took us about 6 months to be like, okay, this is what our plan is, this is how we want to present our content, and this is where we'll go to, this is what we want to show people. After that came the process of connecting with influencers, and actually I think being thrown out to the real world, where you're actually talking to strangers on the internet, to be very honest, to keep it blunt. And then also knowing how to keep it professional, because all of a sudden you're not a child anymore, you're not a student anymore. Here you are the founder of an organization, and you've got to know how to keep it professional. So at times when you're writing mails, you've got to realize you're writing this on the basis from an organization. Learn to write it professionally, and then that hits you. So that again takes the process of, okay, now you got to keep templates for this, you got to keep it professional here. Then suddenly, especially when you're working with like people like your close friends in the beginning of starting an organization, you don't keep weekly meetings and things like that. And even if you keep weekly meetings, they're not productive meetings. You're talking about everything else other than the organization. So then you learn to emphasize on work, very honestly. You learn to see where to draw the line, where to keep it professional. So those were, of course, the problems I think everyone goes through while starting an organization. We have still not, I wouldn't say that we have figured ourselves out. We're still figuring ourselves out. We're still on the path, but I think we are much better than what we were back in 2020. So yeah.
So, like you mentioned that you started with a couple of friends, and then college happened, so they kind of went to pursue their own things. So, what made you stick around to Fun Funds? Because you also started college, and you had this whole academic life and a different life altogether. You had to pursue yourself. So, what made you stick around to Fun Funds?
So as Fun Funds was my idea originally, and it was something that I wanted to do, and those were people I just hired in the basis of helping me. I knew for a fact that this was something the country needed, to be very honest, or the future generation required. So I was ready to sacrifice some amount of time, and it was anyway online classes. So I had that time to broaden the scope of this organization. So that helped me a lot. But it was actually when I started going to college physically, I realized finance is required, because you start traveling by a local bus, for example. Then you start spending in canteens. Then you start buying books of your own. And then you realize, my God, what a change from school to college, the kind of expenditure. And then you start tracking your expenditure and you feel, oh God, how much have I spent this week? So then realized, I think it's for college where these organizations are really needed, because there are so many students out there who are clueless on finance. They're clueless on their money, especially with things like GPay and cards coming in, where you're not even tracking your kind of expenditure.
True. Absolutely.
So that's when I realized, okay, let's stick around with this organization. Let's try and see all those areas, and let's try and educate people on simple things like saving, and I've had classmates of mine come to me, and we even have this edition of weekly financial news, especially for people who are going for competitive exams and things like that. They're like, that thing has been so helpful for us, because we just have to come every Friday to your page and we are updated on the weekly financial news. So that's when I realized, I stuck to this organization because it really is a need for the future generation and for the present generation. So
talking about things like finance and economics, were you a commerce student in class 12 or?
No, I was a humanities student, but I'd taken economics and maths.
Oh, economics and maths. That's when you found your inclination towards economics. Yes. Okay. And what about after college? Will you, let's say, would you be taking up your master's, or would you be devoting yourself to the organization? How does that work?
One thing I've realized is, as I run a non-profit, I cannot survive off of it, to be very honest. So yes, my plans are to either take a job or to do my master's and continue my education. But in whatever I do, I'm very sure Fun Funds will continue with me. So there's no doubt on that.
That's nice. So currently you have a team of people with you, right?
Yes.
You are accordingly doing things, and simultaneously all of you are managing things. So what is like your growth plan? Like, are you going to be doing this in other cities, or you are trying to reach out to communities, schools? What is the future plan for Fun Funds?
So before I tell you my future plan, I'll tell you what was our first plan for Fun Funds to be So our first plan was to just go to NGOs, orphanages and schools, and educate children, students on finance. But unfortunately, due to lockdown and so many restrictions, we realized this is not practical. We cannot go physically anywhere and do so. So then when I used to scroll through Corona times, scrolling through reels, scrolling through trends. I'm very guilty of it. Even my friends doing the same. And then we realized Instagram, we spend majority of our time here. Why not just put this organization there? So that even if people come, they've come for entertainment, they've come to see what others are doing. But at least 2 minutes, I'm pretty sure everyone can take some time of their day to educate themselves on something, not even finance or anything, just to educate themselves. So we realized, there are so many people, especially youngsters, who are all the time on Instagram. Why not just keep the organization on that? Because our plan is to anyway educate everybody. So that's when Instagram hit us. That's when we were like, okay, let's do this as an online organization. Now, as to tell you about our future plans, right now we are completely online, but in a few months we'll also be releasing a finance NGO handbook. So what we'll be doing is we'll be distributing handbooks to NGOs to teach finance to the children there. So to make it easier, so we'll be giving them and it's all free material, free games for them, so that they can understand it in a better way. And hopefully after that, at least we hope after at least 1 or 2 years, when things are a little more settled down, because in Kerala still the COVID wave is still not gone yet, to go offline, try to go to NGOs and schools and colleges, and to be able to conduct classes. And of course, from there to collaborate with other organizations, and fingers crossed to grow even more.
So given that it's a non-profit, like, and you mentioned yourself that you can't sustain out of it. So the people who are with the organization, it's mostly volunteer-based, right?
Yes.
So do you see anywhere in the future that you will probably be monetizing it in a way so that you could have, let's say, a full dedicated team for funds and probably make it big, something like that?
What I've decided and what I'm seeing through this organization is these 2-3 years, or the next 2-3 years, will be its foundation basis. So I don't think monetization will be possible then. But of course, I think by 2-3 years, we hope to see the organization to grow even more. So at least through even online sponsorships and things like that, we hope to monetize it a bit. But after 3 or 4 years, because we feel we can educate ourselves a bit more, we can sort of create a more stronger base, and then only go for monetization. Because in the end, it's also other people's money, and we want to do it carefully.
You reached out to NGOs and you reached out to other organizations?
We have reached out to NGOs. So as we were a very young organization, there were a lot of people who are very hesitant to give it to us, to be very honest. I know a lot of people wouldn't want to tell that on a public platform, but there were a lot of, and we wouldn't blame them. There were a lot of organizations we have reached out to who were very hesitant to sort of take help from us, or even when we were giving out free handbooks, they were very hesitant to take our material. But as our organization has grown a bit, we have had NGOs actually come to us asking us, can you create this handbook, or can you create such a content for us, or can you tell us how we can make this education a bit easier for students? So that difference we are seeing now as we are growing.
Career wise and everything, would you be, let's say, willing to go abroad for some studies or some programs like that, or you want to pursue your master's or whatever in India?
I think both India and abroad are great places to pursue your education, especially India is such a booming country now. There's so many opportunities here, even in terms of colleges. Things that were not there 5 years back have suddenly boomed now. So my options are open both abroad and India. Of course, when you go abroad, you get to see a world a bit more. There's a whole lot more networking. There's I think whether we like it or not, there's a much better quality of education there.
So how do you think that in your master's or whatever you do in the future, funds is going to play a pivotal role in that? It sure is going to, but
yes,
how do you see that happening for you?
Well, to just give you a little example, if I had not started funds, I don't think I would have known the difference between bank accounts by now also. So even if I had gone, say, in an interview or done any competitive exams, or for even interviews to enter a college, I wouldn't be able to answer basic questions. So funds has helped me in ways of I'm more educated in finance today. I'm more educated in my subject today. So even in terms of like interview questions to educational institutes and jobs, I can answer more confidently. Second, through this organization, what I've learned is confidence, and to be able to put yourself out there. And something, you don't even get it as a student or even going to college. You get it by starting an organization, seeing the difficulties in it, and then also respecting people who have started organizations of their own.
That's about it from my end, Anjana. Thank you so much for your time.